Hello, classmates and professor. My name is Michael Bertufo, and this is for early childhood. I went with the maturational approach, where the central nervous system controls the motor development. For the body depends more on the internal factors, what the child was inherited with from the parents, rather than the external, what the environment constraints hold. For the observations are watched over for a period of time. The maturational perspective initiates the process of biological or genetic time clock. Internal factors come into play, and experience which is experience and influences other factors. The infant has a minimal flight when the child takes her strides. The child is very flat-footed. The child is very bilateral, inactive, where his arms stay at a high guard positioning, maintaining his balance. For physical constraints, the infant is not quite strong enough yet to support the weight on one leg. For perceptual challenges, motor functions are not developed, and abnormalities are would be the child waddling through his walking. For childhood, I decided to go with the normative and biomechanical descriptions, where children were being observed through tests, how high they jumped, or how good they ran, or how far they threw. After a long time, after a long time observation for motor development and descriptive, is what generally this theory would base their analysis on. Watching the efficient movement patterns, they also watch motor skills influenced by the maturational perspective. During a gait analysis, the crossover swing was being shown, but there was bilateral arm movement when the child was walking around the room or hopping around the room. When the child went to throw the toy, it was just a straight upper trunk twist with a humorous oblique. Um, when she actually threw with the throwing motion, the elbow and humeral flexion was at a 90-degree angle, not too far behind her head. She didn't really cock it back in a sense. There was no step, so she was just all trunk when she threw for velocity. When she went to catch the toy, there was little response. The palms were up. She really didn't have a great uh, notion for where it would land. Her perceptual constraint would be to a perceptual constraint would be an anticipation of her catching the toy. Her physical constraint would be her coordination. And abnormalities for me, I chose was muscle weakness in her throwing. For adulthood, I went with the dynamical system approach. It's when the body knows it can perform with many actions, but strictly performs the most preferable action. For instance, walking is our main action of transportation. Our body knows how to crawl, scoot, or even tiptoe, but structurally our body decides to walk. It self-organizes, it self-coordinates our bodies for its proper motion. During a gait analysis of the adulthood um, assessment, the base of support was one leg balances the weight. The stride length was long strides. Arm swings were at waist side. The initial contact was a loading response with heel to toe. Mid stance, weight shifted from one leg to another. Terminal stance, toe to heel landing. Pre-swing initial stance, toe to heel, heel to toe swing. The abnormalities I picked for this was shin splints. Physical constraint was muscle mobility, and perceptual knowledge was a walking pattern. And this is for adulthood gait analysis. In older adulthood, I chose perception action approach, and in this theory, it blends perceptual systems along with motor systems and how they have an interrelationship. They go hand in hand. The physical aspect of the body is the motor system. How can the body physically overcome a task? And for the perceptual, if the mind can help the body overcome the task as well. They go hand in hand. Um, Perception action approach involves body scaling, affordance, and what rate limiters there one may be. In a gait analysis for the older lady, her walk was more oppositional, sagittal. Her crossover swing was very minimal. Her left arm was standing close to her hip while her right arm continued to swing through. Abnormalities, she had osteoarthritis. Physical constraint was muscle loss, and the perceptual constraint was fear of falling or fear of not being able to help her body move over it and execute a task. So within this concludes my presentation.